Hello, hello, good afternoon.
And good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everybody, my brother.
Yes, we're happy to have you joining us again this afternoon for our usual weather update. I'm with your meteorologist, Mr. Lenard, Josiah, and he's here to get you all comforted, knowing that the storm has passed. But that's not my responsibility. As I always say, I'm just the person facilitated the process. So I turn you over to none other than Mr. Lenard Josiah, your meteorologist.
Hey, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everyone listening this afternoon. Whether you're in just listening, whether you're viewing, we want to say welcome to this afternoon's proceedings and broadcast. And we continuously do this for your edification, for your information, so that you can make the right decisions. Remember that we're getting on into the peak of the hurricane season. A lot will take place, and you have to be prepared for the peak of the hurricane season. Well, during the past 24 hours, we said goodbye to a potential tropical cyclone number 9. Overnight, tropical cyclone number 9 became tropical storm Isaiah. Definitely did. And again, the plane went inside there, it visited there, and the notorious western component that it did not find over the Eastern Caribbean, guess what? It found it just to the south of Puerto Rico, and that is what helped it to be classified as now a tropical storm Isaiah. Well, tropical storm Isaiah continues to race towards the west. I'm going to go to my screen sharing so that you will see exactly where it's at. And the tropical storm Isaiah this afternoon was just located just at the tip of Hispaniola, and as it continues to race on towards the west. But before we get there, I know many of you might be looking right out towards the east to this area of disturbed weather that just came off the coast of Africa. Showers and thunderstorms associated with a small area of low pressure located a few hundred miles to the south-southeast of the Cabo Verde Islands have increased and become better organized during the day. Environmental conditions appear conducive for further development, and this system could become a tropical depression during the next day or so, while it drifts north-northwestwards after that time. And here is the comforting thing: environmental conditions are forecast to become less favorable for development. So you're looking at a 50% chance of developing over the next 5 days, and as it is expected to develop. But most so, we are likely to see a tropical depression forming out of this area, but it's not forecast to leave this spot at all. As you could see, if at all it does anything, it's heading out to this general location. And as it heads out to that general location, it's basically heading out to the Atlantic Ocean. And even though it heads out there, the environmental conditions are not generally conducive for tropical cyclone formation. So even though it does anything, that's not going to be our focus for right now. We are not anticipating for it to get on into the Eastern Caribbean. All right, but let's turn our attention to the area that we have been focusing on, Tropical Storm Isaiah. Those individuals who are in Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and even up into the Bahama Islands. This is certainly a case for those islands. Tropical storm watches or warnings have been discontinued for, let's say, for Puerto Rico and the United States Virgin Islands. Well, here, and let's take a look and show you exactly what it's looking like. This is the large expanse of clouds associated with this tropical feature. And this tropical feature continues to have a good amount of clouds associated with it. And with those clouds will certainly come torrential rainfall for the islands of Hispaniola, mudslides. Definitely the threat for rainfall, mudslides, flooding, etc. is still continues to be high for the Hispaniola region as the storm heads out into the western half of the area. I will show you the general track in the next couple of minutes. But for us here in Antigua and Barbuda, you continue to see that most of the clouds are so much farther towards the west, so we're not expecting that this will impact us here in Antigua and Barbuda. Patches of low-level clouds are moving towards our island chain, so those of you who are expecting for me to talk about your weather for tomorrow, only a slight chance of a passing shower because the moisture levels continue to be relatively low. And as the moisture levels continue to be relatively low in terms of the chances for showers for us here, not necessarily unusually high. Now, so here is the center of circulation. The center of circulation, remember now, the winds are now flowing right around the center, and now the center has emerged off the northern coast of Hispaniola, and as it does so, the impact of land did not degrade this system significantly. And as such, the next couple of hours will certainly be important for those individuals who are in Bahama. Here is the area that we're talking about as of 5 p.m. this afternoon, moving off the coast on the northern coast of Hispaniola. Is forecast to maintain a tropical storm up to 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, Friday. But guess what? On Saturday morning, Saturday, right down into Saturday afternoon, right down until Sunday, it's forecast to become a hurricane and recurve just to the east of Florida. So they definitely will be on the watch for this. Now, here is something that I must inform you on. Many individuals will look at this whole cone, and they will see that the area that says SHHHH remains off the coast of Florida. But I must add a very major caveat to that, because that line is what we call the most likely path for it to traverse. There is a worst case scenario, and with respect to Florida and the Bahama Islands, the worst case scenario is this line just to the south. It can get over Florida, or the best case scenario is for it to remain off the coast of Florida and the Bahama Islands and pass well to the east. And that's why this dot here and the H and the H and the H suggest the most likely path. But this cone of uncertainty means that the center can show up itself anywhere within this particular area. So individuals who are really monitoring on the east coast of Florida should pay heed to this, because the center could drag itself a little further towards the west, or it could drag itself further towards the east, which is much better, before it recurves out into the Atlantic. So this is definitely a situation for the Western Caribbean. And I'm sure that by tonight, watches or warnings will be dropped for Hispaniola, but certainly watches and warnings remain in place for the Bahama Islands and also for the east coast of Florida this afternoon. My brother?
Yeah, I'm right here, and I see that you have highlighted the Bahamas. You know, we have our friends in Bahamas. We just had a joint service with them the other morning, and they have been through a lot. They've been through the last storm that passed through the area, hurricane it was, and they are on a lockdown again from the COVID-19 pandemic situation.
Yes.
And so I'm sure they're looking through, because I've already sent the link to the elder who is also a subscriber. And so they're going to be looking at it, and they're going to be wondering what's happening for them this evening into the rest of the weekend, and how should they go about preparing for this storm that is approaching. So what's the possibility of them being hit, and what are the forces of winds that they should be expecting? What's the strength of the storm when it approaches them?
Okay, that's a very good question. And now, here is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to share my screen one more time, because sharing the screen would help me to elaborate on the areas of most importance. Okay, so those individuals who are in the Bahama Islands can certainly expect to have a hurricane or storm, a hurricane in the vicinity come the weekend, particularly on Sabbath or Saturday, going on into Sunday. Why this is most important is this, because as it moves towards the northwest, it will encounter some warmer waters and favorable atmospheric conditions. Right now, watches and warnings are in place for them. Tropical storm watches and warnings are in place for those islands. But going on into the weekend, we are likely to see that tropical storm Isaias become a hurricane. Now, here is the point that I want to stress on. If the storm tracks a little bit towards the south, and let me highlight it a little bit more as I share the screen, because it's very important that I highlight this. If the storm tracks a little bit more on this general location, in this general location right here, then those Bahama Islands will be in the northern quadrant of the system. The northern quadrant normally is the worst segment of the forward moving storm. In that segment, you will find hurricane force wind, tropical storm, or hurricane force winds, depending on the category of storm. When it reaches those islands, those individuals in those islands at this stage should really be monitoring the system very closely. They should be making sure they adhere to their hurricane preparedness plans, activities, making sure that they stay abreast of the situation and listen to their most trusted source for information. Because as it moves on closer towards those islands, a hurricane will be somewhere in the vicinity of the Bahama Islands come the weekend. The situation can be a little bit better, however, if the storm decides to track this route here, which is just to the north of those islands. If the storm tracks a little bit to the right, then it places the Bahama Islands into the weaker half of the storm, meaning they would not necessarily have the strong type of weather as it would have encountered to those islands in the north. So those individuals in Bahama Islands, what you can expect is that for your planning activities, pay close attention to the more likely scenario, which is the line which is someplace here, because the storm can be in this general location, either north or south of you, come the weekend, with the possibility of it becoming a hurricane. That is the forecast for the Bahama Islands. I know that those individuals went through a situation last year, and now they're facing the situation and the reality of another year, but nothing beats for you to be prepared. And this is just the reality of the situation right now. And we are continuing to keep you abreast as to the changes, because I do know that with the track forecasting being higher confidence as it is, that a hurricane can be in your vicinity come the weekend. So be prepared and follow and monitor very closely.
I definitely believe they're gonna need our prayers, because they're similar to, in some sorts, to Barbuda, very flat, and you know that was one of the challenges they had. That the ocean came from one side and met with it from another side. So they're pretty flat area, and so they have to be prepared. They knew what happened the last time around, and so they must be prepared this time around in order to weather the storm if it tracks in that area of danger for them.
That's right. That's right. And what you're saying there is so superly important, because of the fact that you're dealing with warmer waters going there. Warmer waters, if the environment is perfect for storm development, then fueling it with warmer waters is really a no-no, because it can get so much worse. So I would want all folks to, those of you who are in the Bahama Islands, to pay very close attention to this, because they're looking at the discussion from a meteorological context and a meteorological standpoint. For those individuals who are in Bahamas and listening to the National Hurricane Center, what they're actually saying to us as meteorologists is that there's a strong likelihood of it becoming a hurricane. Even though it's a Cat 1 hurricane, it is something to still bring hazards of rains, its water, and its winds to those individuals who are most vulnerable. So definitely you would really want to pay close attention to this.
Look out, and you're going to need a lot of prayers, and we will be praying for you.
And my brother, before you and before we segue, those individuals who are wondering for us in the context of weather conditions for us in Antigua and Barbuda, and whether or not we will be impacted, and what does the eastern half of the region really means. Looking out east, we don't see anything of major. Here is the area of disturbed weather that we spoke about off the Cabo Verde Islands, and the Cabo Verde Islands continue to see that this particular area of disturbed weather right here. There is a large tropical wave right in this vicinity, and this large tropical wave can definitely bring, and let me just highlight it, this large tropical wave right inside this area here would certainly bring an increase in clouds and showers to us in Antigua and Barbuda. Moving towards the west, is likely to be in the vicinity of the Leeward Islands sometime on Saturday and on Sunday. The chances are high for it to increase the chance of showers for us here in our Twin Island state and the Eastern Caribbean. So we're looking for increasing clouds and shower activity to the Eastern Caribbean from this tropical wave during the course of the weekend. Not necessarily in the way of tropical cyclone formation, but we can look forward to increased chance of showers for us here in Antigua and Barbuda.
And that's pretty good. The rains that we received over the last few days is really welcoming, and most farmers are smiling and they're hoping that the skies will continue to open and to pour down much more water, rain for us. That is, and so because you know that the water challenge we have locally, enough water cannot be produced at the moment based on we're happy for the rain. We welcome the rain. We want to thank you again this afternoon for your in-depth analysis and production of the weather forecast. And your words seem to be reliable. So more and more people will be logging in to hear what we have to say in the afternoons. And when we don't come on, even though our share of the market is small, it is growing daily, and the more reliable you are, the more following we'll get. And so may God bless you, continue to bless you so as you move into the evening, and see you again tomorrow.
Great stuff, man. And you take care also, my brother.